A high level of interest rate hikes were predicted at the Jackson Hole meeting. However, only the Bank of Japan said it would maintain its monetary easing stance. Why? Senior officials from the U.S. Central Bank and the European Central Bank who attended the Jackson Hole conference, which drew attention from all over the world, said they would maintain interest rates at the high level. It aims to keep interest rates high enough to put the strain on the economy. The Bank of Korea also announced an interest rate hike to stabilize inflation. However, the Bank of Japan said it would maintain its monetary easing stance. The Fed is expected to raise interest rates to just over 4% early next year. In June and July, the Fed carried out a giant step, raising 0.75 percentage points at the time, raising the benchmark interest rate to 2.25% to 2.5%. Interest rates at this level are expected to remain throughout 2023. The ECB, which raised the benchmark interest rate for the first time in 11 years, also hinted strong tightening. Even if the economy enters the recession, it is said that it will continue on the road to normalization. Central banks around the world should not stop tightening their currencies right away at the first signal that inflationary pressures have eased, they said, urging strong action. On the other hand, Bank of Japan Governor Haruhiko Kuroda took the opposite position with major countries. Inflation in Japan is expected to approach 2% or 3% by the end of this year and further down to 1.5% next year, he said. Japan's consumer price inflation in July was 2.4%. Almost all of this has been triggered by rising prices of international commodities such as energy and food. Inflation is expected to approach 2% or 3% by the end of this year and further down to 1.5% next year. The inflation rate exceeded the 2% target of the Bank of Japan for 4 months in a row, but the rate of increase also accelerated. However, it is expected that accommodative monetary policy will continue until April next year, when Kuroda's term ends. The yen recently hit its lowest level in 24 years. This may reduce the competitiveness of export prices of domestic companies. Japan is strategically lowering the yen to secure price competitiveness. As of the end of March this year, the total assets of the Bank of Japan stood at 736 trillion yen. Among them, government bonds amount to 526 trillion yen, equivalent to half of the total national balance. When interest rates rise, the price of government bonds falls, resulting in a valuation loss corresponding to the difference. If the Bank of Japan abandons its accommodative monetary policy, it will suffer huge losses from holding very large government bonds.